Wow. I mean, geez, we could have a whole episode, I feel like, just right there on just digging deeper there. Unfortunately, we have to we'll put a pin in that, maybe talk about it deeper another time. But wow. I mean, honestly, that was so good. And I totally agree. So with that, let's kind of just turn the page to what it might look like. Hey, I've made it. I'm FIRE, right? What is decumulation? What is this on the tail end, right? So now we've accumulated enough. Now we're starting to spend, or we're decumulating. And what type of planning is involved in that? What does that maybe look like for you when you help your clients?
Yeah, so maybe I'll come up with the biggest concerns. So the biggest concerns or reason people think they can't retire yet, even if they have enough money, is first of all, taking money out of their accounts. So they're like, I've saved into all these tax advantage accounts through my employer. I might have had like a 401k, a 403b, some pensions that I have the option of like taking a lump sum or the pension, options like that. So they're saying, okay, if you retire before 59 and a half, that's a really unique number in our profession. It sounds a little goofy, like why 59 and a half? Again, I didn't make the rules, but
Yeah.
before age 59 and a half, sometimes you can be dealing with what's called a 10% additional tax. Some people call it the tax penalty, which is, the US government wants you to, the money you're saving for retirement, they want to make sure you're actually using it in retirement and not just like taking it out along the way. So there's a 10% early withdrawal penalty before age 59 and a half, unless some other exceptions apply. So one of the things I help clients do in financial planning, I mean, I'm not accepting any new clients, just letting you know kind of how I do things, is, a lot of my work is helping clients who retire before age 59 and a half get access to that money without the 10% penalty. So there's a few things if you'd like to go a little bit deeper on some of those strategies. Second, this is probably the biggest thing people are concerned about, is the cost of health coverage in early retirement, right? So before Medicare, or if I don't have access to any continuing health coverage through my employer or through my pension, they're wondering, okay, I've heard that health insurance is really expensive. They call it the Affordable Care Act, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be affordable for you.
Right.
So
Right.
it's really important to understand there's about 7 or 8 ways to get access to health coverage in early retirement. But the biggest one, probably like 95% of early retirees, they actually go to healthcare.gov /C-plans, really to look at the cost of the public health insurance marketplace, but it's based on zip code. So does Hawaii have their own healthcare marketplace?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool, right. So if you go to healthcare.gov /C plans and you just type in your zip code, it'll transfer you automatically to the Hawaii's health coverage, the health marketplace for Hawaii. So it is expensive. I will tell you, like, on the base, the plans can be very expensive, especially if you have like multiple members of your family. With that said, there are also things called premium tax credits available based on your modified adjusted gross income. That sounds very technical, but to back up, it just says the less you make in early retirement, and by make, I mean the less taxable forms of taxable income you have in early retirement, the more higher health subsidies you can get. So I work with a lot of early retirees who maybe they even have $1 million in early retirement, but because they have a lot of control over their forms of taxable income, and maybe they haven't pulled a trigger on their pension yet, and they're just taking money out of their investment accounts. If they've been intentional with the types of accounts they're putting their money into, when taking money back out, they can have a lot of control. And I've worked with families who are getting $30,000 a year in healthcare subsidies just because they've been intentional. That word intentional, they've been intentional. I call it beginning with an end in mind. If anybody's familiar with, there's a book, Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It talks about beginning with an end in mind. So what I tell people is it's never too early to plan for retirement. So even if you're just got your first job out of college, right, or you're in their 30s and 40s, you might be like, oh, like retirement, I'll think about that later. Like, your future retiree version of yourself well, thank you for starting to think about this now, because how you contribute today will affect how you distribute in retirement. So definitely the order of operations for how you take money out of your accounts, and then also controlling those forms of taxable income so that your health coverage isn't completely out the window in terms of the biggest part of your expense.
The opinions and statements presented on this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations. Never make any investment or financial decisions based on information offered on this show without first consulting your financial, legal, or tax advisor. All economic and performance information mentioned on the show is historical in nature and is not indicative of any future results. All indices mentioned on this show are unmanaged and cannot be invested in directly. All information is believed to be from reliable sources. However, we make no representation as to its completeness or accuracy. Lastly, all opinions expressed by Jason Cutitta and any guests on the show are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of or are endorsed by ToBA Financial. For Jason Cutitta, investment advisory services are offered through ToBA Financial LLC, a registered investment advisor offering advisory services in the state of Hawaii and in other jurisdictions where exempt from registration.